Hi everybody, it's me, Mike Celestino from laughingplace.com. About a year ago, I wrote a bold prediction piece on the Laughing Place website theorizing that the timeline of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge might shift to the New Republic era before the summer of 2026, to bring the land in line with the forthcoming The Mandalorian and Grogu update to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run attraction. Well, it turns out I was at least partially right. Let's go over that news and much more about the future of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in this week's episode of LP Pulse. This morning, Disneyland officially announced that the timeline of its Star Wars Galaxy's Edge themed land will indeed be shifting this spring, but not only to the New Republic era. Instead, what is now entirely set in the sequel trilogy era of the Resistance versus the First Order will be fractured into three separate timelines: the Galactic Civil War, better known as the original trilogy era, the New Republic era, which is when The Mandalorian and Ahsoka take place, and the Resistance era, meaning that the wilderness area around the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance attraction will remain at the same point in the timeline that it has always been. That's where you can continue to encounter Rey, as guests have since Galaxy's Edge first opened. But let's dive deeper into the stuff that is actually changing. One of the biggest differences will be the area by the milk stand currently occupied by the First Order and Kylo Ren. This section of Black Spire Outpost will now be under the control of the Galactic Empire. Instead of Kylo being flanked by First Order stormtroopers, guests will see Darth Vader accompanied by Imperial stormtroopers. My first question when I heard this news was how Disneyland would deal with the ominous TIE Echelon assault shuttle parked in this section, which as far as we know was a ship used exclusively by the First Order, not its predecessor, the Empire. And based on the photos released by Disney Parks today, it looks as though they will simply be leaving it as is, which may ruffle some feathers among the more continuity-focused fans. As for the First Order cargo gift shop located next to the TIE Echelon, this will be transformed into a new shop called Black Spire Surplus, which will offer military gear from both the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire. One of the other major changes you can expect to see are these large First Order banners, which will almost certainly be replaced by new banners carrying the Imperial insignia, if not removed entirely. In addition to Darth Vader and the Imperial Stormtroopers, other new characters that will be making their way to Batuu will include Han Solo and Princess Leia, both of whom will be situated in the area surrounding the Millennium Falcon. What's not clear about Han and Leia just yet is which point exactly in the Star Wars timeline they will occupy. If they're also intended to be situated during the Galactic Civil War, something might have to be done about that rectenna on the Falcon. But if they're set during the New Republic era, like the Smuggler's Run attraction they'll be standing in front of, they wouldn't be able to interact with or acknowledge Darth Vader, who is, spoiler alert, dead by that point in the timeline. How very complicated indeed. Interestingly, in their official statement, Disney has said that Han will be tempted by the local cantina, and Leia will be recruiting travelers to help keep Luke safe. And yes, that means that Luke Skywalker will also be returning to Galaxy's Edge. He first popped up on Batuu in March of last year, and according to Disney, he will continue to roam Black Spire in search of Force-related artifacts. And don't worry, you'll still spot the loyal Wookiee Chewbacca and that lovable droid R2-D2 around the land as well. Plus, the Mandalorian himself, aka Din Djarin, and his pal Grogu will still be roaming near the Black Spire marketplace, along with Ahsoka Tano. However, there's no mention of Boba Fett in Disney's announcement, so his fate remains up in the air at the moment. Additional changes are coming to some of the other shops on Batuu, including Dok-Ondar's Den of Antiquities, which Disney says will display a different array of one-of-a-kind items from its past. Droid Depot will now be operated by an earlier generation of the Mubo family, who are prototyping the BB style of droid. One of the other major changes coming to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and the one that will probably take the most getting used to from regulars like myself, will be the incorporation of John Williams' famous Star Wars music around the land. Previously, guests in Black Spire Outpost would only hear diegetic and atmospheric sounds coming from the buildings and landscapes around them, and now tracks like the Star Wars main title, the Force theme, Han Solo and the Princess, the Desert and the Robot Auction, and the Emperor will be heard around Batuu, with the famous Cantina band track emanating from Oga's Cantina. I'm personally most concerned that we'll be losing the ethereal music that plays as you pass through the tunnels into Galaxy's Edge from the other areas of Disneyland, as that's always been one of my favorite parts of the experience. That covers all of today's major announcements, but I still have some big questions about these changes to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The first of which being, what will become of Vi Marati, the Resistance spy character who was created for the land? There's no mention of her in Disney's announcement. Another glaring omission is the prequel era of the Star Wars timeline. We'll have the Galactic Civil War, the New Republic, and the Resistance eras covered, so the lack of any prequel stuff might feel like a pretty big exclusion to fans who grew up on those films. And the biggest unanswered question of all is probably, what about Walt Disney World? All of these changes announced today only apply to the Disneyland version of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, so does that mean that Batuu East will remain as it is for the time being? Hopefully more information will be released soon, but as of right now, all we know is that the timeline expansion will go into effect on Wednesday, April 29th at Disneyland Resort. And don't forget the Mandalorian and Grogu update coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run a few weeks later on Friday, May 22nd, the same day the new movie hits theaters. Until then, may the Force be with you, and we'll see you real soon with the next installment of LP Pulse.